Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. This video is going to cover how to create an inventory system for a med spa, but you don't need to specifically be making an inventory system to benefit from this video. I'm using this as an example of how I use AI assistants to create my formulas, to create dummy data, and how I put it all together. Now, this is going to be a multi-video series. There will be several parts, probably 5 parts or more. So hopefully you learned something from this video series. Before we get started, I'm going to show you what I'm working with here. All right, so here is what I have so far. This is a draft. It's not complete by any means, but you get an idea of where I'm going with this. This inventory system has several different tabs, and they're all going to be working together to create a system for this client. I'll start with the dashboard. It is a work in progress, but as you can see, it's meant to summarize information that we're going to be putting into the different parts of the spreadsheet. I usually have an area that is just called list. Sometimes it will be called setup. And this is where the user will be able to customize the different drop downs that would be used throughout the spreadsheet. All right, so next we have a client list, and this is what we're going to be creating in the first video of this series. Then we have an employee list, services and pricing, a vendor list, product stock list, incoming, and outgoing. So right around 10 tabs or so, not counting the dashboard. So it is going to take a long time, which is of course why this video has to be split up into multiple parts. All right, so that's the quick overview. The next thing I want to show you is my AI assistants. All right, so the first AI assistant I'm going to show you is ChatGPT. I have the upgraded version, which is why I have ChatGPT 4 and DALL-E and all of the other extra stuff that comes with a subscription. If you don't have a subscription, that's okay. You can use ChatGPT 3.5 model. It works, as well as some of the other AI assistants that I am going to go over next. All right, so the next one is Claude, and they do have an upgraded version, which I don't use because ChatGPT is sufficient. I have a subscription with them, and it's not necessary for me to have more than one. So I use the basic version of Claude, but it does work and it is very useful. However, I do prefer ChatGPT 4 when I'm looking to troubleshoot or creating very robust and detailed formulas. So if you don't have a subscription to ChatGPT, it is an alternative that you can use, especially if you're not getting the results you want from ChatGPT 3.5. And last but not least, we have Gemini, which is the version that's created by Google. It used to be called Bard. Now it's called Gemini. So as you can see, I have Gemini Advanced. However, it's because they were offering some type of promotion at the time. I think 3 months to try the Gemini Advanced for free. So I signed up for it. So as an alternative to ChatGPT 3.5 and Claude, you have Gemini. All right, so that being said, I'm going to come back to Google Spreadsheet. Remember, today we're focusing on the client tab and not so much focusing on design per se, just focusing on how I use the AI assistants to generate the formulas I need to create my spreadsheets in Google Sheets. By the way, you can do the same if you are creating Excel spreadsheets. I'm only focusing on Google Sheets because that's all I sell right now in my digital template shop. All right. If you have any questions related to design, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. All right. So today we are going to create the client list dashboard. It's a very basic table, and just like the other ones and all the videos in this series, I'm really focusing more on how to use the AI assistants to help us create this. All right, so here I have a brand new spreadsheet that I am going to be using for the demo purposes of this video, and I will have this spreadsheet available in my Patreon page, which I just opened. If you don't have the time or you're having some trouble with some of the formulas, that's what the templates would be there for. So I'll have this available in my Patreon page. So if you want to go ahead and sign up to support me, support what I do, I'll have that available there. But if you just want to follow along with the tutorial, you get all of the steps to create this template. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is to create the data, right? When creating spreadsheets, you want to use realistic data. I like to use something that is realistic enough so that it makes sense with the width and height of the rows and the columns. So instead of trying to invent all of this data, you can use your AI assistant to create it. So what I'm going to do is just ask my AI assistant to generate dummy client list for my spreadsheet design. So I will be using ChatGPT for this example, but remember you can use any AI assistant that you have. If you have trouble with one, meaning 3.5 doesn't work well for you, go ahead and use the other ones. And actually what I have noticed is that for creating dummy data, 3.5 does a good job with that. So I'm going to go ahead and use 3.5 for this step. And then for the next few steps, when I need to create a formula, I will use ChatGPT 4.0. All right, so I have typed a very basic prompt here, which is create a list of dummy client information that I can use to create a spreadsheet template for a med spa. These prompts would also be available if you are part of my Patreon so that you can go ahead and just copy them without having to rewrite them. But to be honest, they're very, very easy to come up with. I just try to picture that I'm talking to someone that is an expert. Like I have a super assistant that knows everything, and I try to talk to them like they're a person, and I've always gotten better results that way. All right, so let's see what it provides. So actually, I'm going to stop it right here because this is not what I want. I'm going to go ahead and change the prompt a little bit and say create a table with a list of 10 realistic dummy client information. So I'm just going to tweak the prompt a little bit to see if it provides what I want. Perfect. So as you can see, sometimes you have to just tweak things around. You may not get the result you're looking for the first time, but this is sufficient. So it has basically the things that would be helpful. And mind you, it's not going to be identical to what I have here, but that's okay because we just need something similar. All right, now I'm going to copy this information and I'm going to paste it in my Google Sheets. So I'll show you quickly. If you just paste it without doing anything extra, this is what you might get, something that looks like this. So I just did the shortcut Control V and this is what it looks like. This is not going to work. I need it to be in a table form so it fits into the spreadsheet. So I'm going to do Control, Shift, and V. I'm using a MacBook, so you might use something different if you're using a Windows computer, or you can just right click and paste special and paste values only. It would paste it as in a table format. What I like to do, and I'm going to do this quickly, is to remove all the extra rows and columns because for me, I find them distracting. All right, so what I did was I removed the extra columns and then I just changed the size of the rows a little bit so it's easier to read. So what I'm going to do is change the font and change the size of the rows to match the information in them. I don't want the age. I'll rather have something like date of birth. So what I'm going to do is go back and ask it to change the age to date of birth. Right, so now that I have that, I'm going to just copy that. I'm just going to delete everything here and just paste values only. That way, all of the formatting that I did before is maintained, so I don't have to do it all over again. All right, so I did a little bit more formatting. I added a few more rows up here and the color to highlight the header. And I'm going to remove the grid lines. All right, so here's what we have so far. One of the first things I'm going to do is to add a filter. I'd never used to use this for my templates, but I wish I started using them from the beginning because it just makes things so much easier. I will add a filter by clicking on the first row of the first column and right click and say create a filter. And what this is going to do is to create a tiny little filter icon in every single column. If you wanted to find a specific client, all you need to do is to just clear all and type the client's name, and then you have that information there for you. The other reason I like to use this filter is that you can go ahead and sort. That way it's all alphabetical. So if you add more information later on, more data, so you add another name here, let's say Ava Davis. Okay, so it's not sorted, but we can go ahead and sort again, and it's at the top. All right, so I'm going to use this space for the header right here. So I'm going to add color here and maybe add a border around it. So what I did was here, I, of course, added a color here and merged the cells so that I could add the header that's bold with a different font and increase the size. And this just is client dashboard. Of course, you can create it whatever way that fits your design style and aesthetic and use whatever font you want. This is just an example. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm using this as a mini filter. Now, like I showed you before, if you want to find a client, you can easily filter here. What I'm trying to do is that I want to not have to use this filter if I don't need to. And I'll show you what it looks like in the completed version so it makes sense. All right, so here's the completed version. And what I have done is that these is a Dropbox with all of these names, okay, these customer names. And if I were to select Sarah Johnson, so go ahead and select her name, all of her information pops up here. So assume you have a long list of clients, like 500 clients. You know the name of the client, you want to get their information, and you don't want to have to filter. Type in whatever client's information you're looking for. So let's just type Ashley. And as you can see, Ashley shows up as the only option, and her phone number, her email address, date of birth, and her gender shows up. So this is something that will be repeated throughout the entire template. That way, it makes it more user-friendly for the end user. All right, so we'll go back here and we're going to create the same thing here. So here is the search bar. I did use 2 columns, but they're not yet merged. You can merge them individually like this, of course. But if you have a lot of things to merge and the merge is the same, so the same columns need to be merged, select all of them. And instead of clicking merge cells, click on the arrow and say merge horizontally. That way they're all merged. All right, so we're going to use this as our drop down for our client's name. So add a drop down. You can right click and use the drop down, or you can use the data option here and click on data validation. Okay, so those are the 2 ways you can do it. And when you get here, you see the option to add a role, and drop down automatically is selected. We're going to change that to drop down from range. Okay, and when this option is selected, you see that we have the option to type the range. I like to select the range, so I would click on this icon that says select data range. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and I'm going to just select the column, just a few rows. So I'm interested in filtering the client name, so that's why I'm selecting this row. And the reason why I'm not selecting everything is because you don't need to do that. All you need to do is just start from the top, and then when it's selected, you've selected the row, some of the rows that you're interested in the right column. I'll go ahead and remove the number. What this does is that it selects all of the rows in this column. And if you add more rows in the future, they will automatically be added. Click OK. Then I'm going to go to advanced options. And this is a place you can customize how you want the arrow to show up. As you can see, it shows up automatically as this chip. It's not my preferred style. I'm going to choose arrow, and I'm going to show help because I do want to reject the input and the user would know why. As you can see, now we have a little arrow. Once we click on this, we have names. So now the question is, how do we get the date of birth, the gender, contact information, address to show up here? Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 slots. I'm going to only filter 4. If you want to do more, of course, you're welcome to do so. This is something you can also put on the side if you don't want it at the top, especially if you want to display more information here. And I should say this now that I am not an expert when it comes to the formulas. That's where the AI assistants come in. So you don't have to be an expert. You just need to be able to ask the right questions. So I'm going to go back to my AI assistant and ask it to create a formula. I'm going to tell it exactly what I have and ask it to create a formula for what I need. So before we go to the AI assistant, I'm going to make note of a few ranges. So B9 to F19, I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to take note of G2, and that would all make sense in a second. So we're back in my ChatGPT chat box. I have switched over to GPT-4. It just works better for me. You could try it with 3.5 or all the other AI assistants that I showed you earlier, Claude or Gemini. If you have 4, obviously it would be easier to follow the steps. Remember, like I said before, I'm going to prompt it like I am talking to someone that really knows how to use Google Sheets standing in front of me. That's exactly how I'm going to prompt it, like I'm talking to someone. I found that that gives me the best results. You don't have to be very technical, but you should provide the specific locations of your sheet so that you don't have to make a lot of changes when you copy the formula into your sheet. So I will write the prompt. I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll copy it and paste it into the sheet. All right, so here is the prompt I'm using. I'm saying create a formula that I can use to filter out data from my client's data Google Sheets template. When I select the client name in G2, remember that's where we have the drop down with the client names. I want information displayed from this range. Okay, that's why I copied the range and I removed the number. So it's actually using the entire range in the spreadsheet plus any new rows that I added later on. And when name in G2 in the drop down equals column B. So when G2 equals any of the names in B9B, I want the data in these rows filtered. All right, so this is what it's come up with. I'm going to copy this, okay? Just copy that and it copies everything. I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to paste the formula here and see what happens. All right, so I did make a mistake because I wasn't thinking about the format of what I wanted information displayed. So what I want is I want the date of birth here, the gender here, the contact information, and the email address here. So I'm going to change the prompt and ask it just to filter out the date of birth, and the date of birth is in column C. So we're going to go back here. And what I'm going to do is just edit the prompt that I originally entered so I don't have to type in a lot of information, and just change this to data in C9C. That's all I want. I'm going to hit save and submit. All right, so it's giving me 2 options, and this is the original option it gave me before. However, it's telling me if you only want to filter the result in C9C, and this is what a formula you're going to use. So I'm going to copy this one, go back here, I'm going to paste it here. All right. So now we have a date of birth, and that should match what we have for Ava. So if we look for Ava Martinez, her date of birth is 1982, 8/7. I'm going to change this to Daniel Miller, and it should be 1988, 10/5. That works perfectly. So now I want to filter out the gender. So I'm going to go ahead and change this from column C to column D. So anywhere we have C, changing it to D. And now we have the right gender, and do the same thing for column E and column F. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and test it out again for Ava. And this information here should match the information here. So we have date of birth, female, phone number, and the email address, and that matches perfectly. Now, if you wanted to filter it out in column form, that would be where the first formula would make sense. So we had to do individually because I wanted it to filter out each data point in each row. Again, it's just really based on the aesthetic that I'm going for. And now I'm just going to test it one more time for Olivia Taylor, and just look for Olivia Taylor here. We have the correct information. One last thing I want to show you is how to highlight. So let's say, in addition to selecting the information displayed here, you want to highlight it here. Select Olivia Taylor. You want this to also be highlighted. So color, let's say the same color. We're going to use conditional formatting for this. And what I'm going to do is use the same information, so G2 as my source of data, and I'm going to ask it to create a conditional formatting formula for me. I will continue with the same conversation. That way I don't have to repeat myself because it remembers the information that we have previously used in this session. All right, so here's the prompt I'm using. Create a conditional formatting formula to help me highlight client data in the table using their name. Okay, basically when G2, the name in G2 equals any of the names in B9B, which is the column that contains the client's name. So I'm going to go ahead and send this and see what it comes up with. Perfect. So it not only gives you the formula, it gives you the steps. So if you're not sure how to do this, you have the steps as well as the formula. To apply conditional formatting, we're going to go to Formats and Conditional Formatting. And the first step is to apply the range. So I'm going to use the same technique. Select one area that covers the entire span of the columns, and I'm going to remove the number 18 so that it covers the entire range. So B9 to I, and just leave the number blank and it will select everything. And now when it comes to the formula, just ignore that it's doing this. We're going to go to custom formula. We're going to paste the formula we got from ChatGPT. As you can see, it's already working. So we have Oliver Taylor and she's highlighted here. Now you can play with the color. So we're going to use the same blue that we're using for the entire page. You can even make it bold to make it pop out some more. And we're going to click on done. Now close this out so you can see what it looks like. So let's say I change this to Daniel Miller. You can see the information here changes. In addition, we have Daniel Miller highlighted here. So as you can see, it works for formulas. It works for conditional formatting. These are very basic formulas, but don't underestimate the power of these systems. I have created very, very complex formulas with ChatGPT. We're starting with something easy, but we're going to scale up. I'm going to show you how I create very complex formulas using the AI assistant. So here is something that I'm working on. It's a template that is currently in progress, and you can see some of the formulas that it's created for me. I mean, these are very long formulas that I probably will not, being honest, be able to create. The filter formulas are basic. They're easy to create, but as you can see, some of the formulas can get quite long and complicated. I sometimes use images. So I put in an image here and I asked it to use the image as a reference because it can read images. It can read the rows. It can read the columns. So it's just another way to give it information. And you can see that it's created formulas for me. And I go back and forth in this session because some things weren't working and I had to troubleshoot, and it helped me through that process. So it can create simple formulas like the ones we use for the spreadsheet today, but it can create very long and more complex formulas. And we're going to get into that when we get through the process of creating all the other formulas that we need for this system. So I hope you found this helpful. Now remember, you don't have to be creating an inventory system for a med spa to benefit from this video series, because what I'm going to be showing you is the process. Okay, so if you're creating something else, you can use the same process. So I hope you find this helpful. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you have anything that you want me to add to this inventory system, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Remember, I will be sharing this demo spreadsheet plus my chat session with ChatGPT. So if you are a member of my Patreon, thank you for supporting me. You have access to the demo spreadsheets as well as the chat session with ChatGPT. So you can go ahead and copy the formulas directly from here or copy the prompt and use it in your own system just to make the process easier for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.